if I am an NBA general manager, I'm not going to make a move to trade for Kawhi Leonard. I just wouldn't, even though I can acknowledge, look, Kawhi Leonard is a fantastic basketball player. In fact, he might be able to help a team, but I don't think there's a team in the East, the Eastern Conference, who can use him. I do not believe there's a team in the Eastern Conference who can take Kawhi Leonard and he can push them over the edge so they can win a championship. Because if the problem with Kawhi Leonard is this, he costs a ton. You're going to have to lose assets for Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is going to cost like a Kyrie or Gordon Hayward and a draft pick. I mean, he's not cheap. And there's only two teams in the Eastern Conference that could maybe make a move for Kawhi Leonard. That is, again, the 76ers and the Boston Celtics. Because there's the only two teams that could risk taking a Kawhi Leonard and using him for a year to get him over the hump. Now, the biggest reason why I would not take Kawhi Leonard is he's only got 1 year left on his contract. You're going to trade a lot of assets away for Kawhi Leonard, and you're only going to get him for 1 year. You're basically renting a player for a year. That's not very smart. That's not sustainable. I don't like that. And let's remember Paul George. We saw the Oklahoma City Thunder do that last year. We're going to take Paul George. We're going to recruit him. We're going to keep him around. We think we can convince Paul George to stay. They traded for him. He had 1 year left on his contract. Paul George is all but out of Oklahoma City. He's about to leave the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I would not want to take that risk with Kawhi Leonard. I love Kawhi Leonard. And the only reason I would trade for Kawhi Leonard is if I thought next season he could put my team over the edge and help us win a championship. And the problem is there isn't a team out there that feels that way. And any team that is, again, the Celtics are close, but I think the Celtics would have to give up far too much to get Kawhi Leonard, and I just don't think it's worth it. I wouldn't give up assets to trade for Kawhi Leonard because you're only going to get him for 1 year. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that when you trade for Kawhi Leonard, you're not trading him where he necessarily wants to be. You're making him go somewhere. And in a year after that, he's going to be free to go wherever he wants. And so I simply would not trade for Kawhi Leonard at all. I love Kawhi. I think Kawhi's an amazing player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Kawhi isn't fantastic, but I just don't think it's a smart move. Because we learned from Paul George. When you trade for a guy with 1 year left on his contract, there's no guarantee he's going to stay there. And trading for a guy like Kawhi Leonard is going to cost a lot. I'm not going to give up assets. My future, I'm not going to give up important, meaningful players so that I can have Kawhi Leonard. Because again, we've learned the way you build a great NBA roster, you have a collection of stars. One star, Giannis, up in Milwaukee, that's not enough. One star, Damian Lillard, there's 2 stars in Portland. They're not enough. You need multiple stars. You need a collection of stars. So trading one star for another doesn't actually get you closer to a championship. And why would you trade one star who has 3 years left on his contract for Kawhi Leonard who only has 1? I would not trade for Kawhi Leonard. I love him, but I would not make a move to go and get Kawhi Leonard. Particularly because I know I'm keep continuing to go, but the Spurs have said we're not comfortable trading Kawhi Leonard in the Western Conference. It's not going to happen. So what that means is everybody on the Western Conference, everybody in the West is out. They're not going to get him. And it only makes sense to trade him to a team in the West because there's only 2 teams in the Eastern Conference who have a chance next year of winning a championship, and they'd have to give up too much. So I would not make a move for Kawhi Leonard. I'd simply wait a year, and then I'd go get him. This kind of reminds me, the last thing I'm going to say, it reminds me of Carmelo Anthony. I remember when Carmelo Anthony really, really wanted to go to the New York Knicks. And so he said, trade for me now instead of waiting the next year and going there as a free agent. And it really cost them. They lost a lot because they were impatient. And if you are Kawhi Leonard, I would just be patient and wait 1 more year and then go get him in free agency. I would not make a trade to go get Kawhi Leonard. Thank you for watching this video. Remember, if you like it, you can subscribe to Strong Opinion Sports on iTunes, on SoundCloud, and on YouTube. You can find the full entire hour-long podcast on YouTube. And if you really like this podcast, help me grow Strong Opinion Sports by telling your friends about the show on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever it is. Help me grow Strong Opinion Sports by telling your friends about this show.